Hey guys, Carlo Filippone here, your muscle chef, ready to talk to you about this guy, the chicken pound. What do we do with the chicken pound? We prepare grilled chicken in different flavors, 6 to be exact. If you're serious about bodybuilding and you meal prep, don't go anywhere else. This is the company for you.
After working hard at the gym, you need a mattress that works as hard as you do. Spinalign has engineered the perfect mattress for you and your active lifestyle. Don't compromise your recovery with inferior sleep. Order your Spinalign mattress today.
Tighten up.
Yep.
RX Television on RxMuscle.com. This is Ask Dave, better known as hashtag Ask Dave, your 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. I'm your host, Sadiq Faruqi. Glad you can join us wherever you are. Hope you're staying safe. Life seems to be returning to a semblance of normalcy, state by state, region by region. It looks like things are going to start to roll back. Gyms in certain states are starting to open. I know here in New York, we're probably another couple of weeks away from some of the gyms being phased in. As we now bring in Dave Palumbo. Dave, right now on RxMuscle.com and the RxMuscle YouTube channel, an episode of Iron Debate that we did yesterday with legends Chris Cormier and Sean Ray talking about posing. For those who haven't watched it yet, do you want to give them a little primer?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out who to really get on the show because, I mean, there are great posers, but then there's people who can articulate why, posing is important, and I wanted to get some strong opinions on it, and I know Chris has some real strong opinions, especially on the presentation aspect of bodybuilding, and Sean has strong opinions on everything, so I thought it was a good combination. Both of them happen to be really good posers, too, back in their day, and I thought the show went really well. We really broke down, and it's funny, it seems like everyone was kind of in agreement with the fact that Melvin Anthony might have been the perfect, I guess, balanced guy in terms of who the best poser of all time might be, because he was able to do the conventional poses, the artistic poses, and then the entertaining poses. And most guys either are doing one or the other, and he kind of did everything. And I think that's why, Sean, Chris, and myself agreed that Melvin might be the best of all time, just because of that. From a sheer entertainment standpoint, I think, you have to say Kai Green is definitely ranked up there among the best. And from an artistic, posing, standpoint, you got to put Chris up there, and Sean definitely were up there, and Flex Wheeler. So, but Melvin was able to move and groove and dance and do the other stuff. So, I mean, that says a lot, when he, and if you hadn't seen Melvin do it in person, you could watch the videos online. It's just not the same energy. Likewise, I said, some of the best Kai Green posing routines, I can't even find them, are when he was a natural guy, competing at the Team Universe. I saw some of these posing routines he did in that Tribeca Performing Arts Center in Manhattan College. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And he wasn't even that big at the time. I think he was a better poser then because of the fact that he could move even, first of all, he was younger, but he was also lighter. So he was able to move like he was floating on air. So great show. If you guys want to check it out, we have a lot of footage from all the different best posers of all time kind of worked in there, so you can kind of see what we're talking about. It's on the RxMuscle YouTube channel and RxMuscle.com.
Before we go to the questions, Dave, I noticed yet again you have cookies sitting in front of you. Cookies seem to be the thing now in the bodybuilding world. I don't know how it started, but it's a thing now. And for whatever reason, you always seem to have them.
Yeah.
None of them ever seem to go my way.
I gotta get some sent to you. Quest, Mr. G lives there. He can drop them off at your house.
There you go. Perfect.
Quest started the whole thing with the cookies, the protein cookies. And then Mr. G made his Mr. Potts Jumbo Palumbo cookies, which are those big, huge 1,500 calorie cookies, 50 grams of protein. People have been killing it on MrPottsProtein.net. Mr. G can't keep them in stock, and now he's got the Jumbo Lights coming out. So those are a little smaller. They're not as many calories. They're kind of something you can eat on a regular basis. But Juan Morel has sent me cookies. They're absolutely delicious. Now I got these, the Obsessive Cookie Disorder Company. What a name, right? Obsessive Cookie Disorder Cookie Company, excuse me.
OCD cookies.
OCD cookies, yeah. Produced by the Drool Lab. This is the Drool Lab collection. So I guess you drool a lot when you eat these things. And they sent me these cookies. They're unbelievable. Obsessive, this is the, what is this one? Tyler already broke into one of them here. What is this one, Tyler, you ate? Oh, the s'mores cookie? Yeah, this one has got some cool stuff in it too. This is the creme de la creme. This one looks like a carrot cake. Is that what it is? Yeah. Carrot cake, yeah. This one's chocolate chip. Hold on. This is called Nutty Professor. The Nutty Professor. I like this with the little eyes here. Oh, that's the Cookie Monster. I guess I got to open the Cookie Monster one, right? Because people are going to want to have this. I haven't tasted these yet. I just got them, so. Tyler couldn't wait till I did the TV show. He just broke into one. All right, let's eat a piece of the Cookie Monster here. People seem to like to watch me eat with my mouth open on the show. Oh my God. I think it tastes like there's Oreos inside of here. Very good.
Where
Thank
can the
you.
viewers
I got
get
a coupon code. Hold on. If you want to go get some of these OCD cookies, you can use your discount code ADDICTED10 for 10% off your next order. And the website is OCD Cookie Company or OCDCookieCO.com. Maybe Tyler can pull it up on screen. Thank you guys for sending me these cookies. We love free stuff over here at RxMuscle.com. Tyler loves the treat. Tyler doesn't like the bodybuilding stuff as much as he likes the treat stuff that we get. So, what is this one? This one says Lotus on top.
One of them says an acronym. I have no idea.
Yeah, this just says Lotus. This says Cookie-holic. Oh, Cookaholic. This is the Cookaholic one. What's this one? This is, I don't even know what these, they got some interesting names. Let me see, she wrote them down here too. This is the MMXX. I don't know what that stands for.
Nope.
This one is, Scarlet. This one's like reddish colored. It almost looks like someone punched someone in the face or something like that. So, the carrot cake looks like, I bet my wife will eat this one, Amanda. She would bet she could do the carrot cake one. I like these. Manic Monday, Two-Faced. Where's the Two-Faced one? I don't know. Anyway, very creative. I like creativity. Check them out, guys.
OCD Cookie Co.
OCD Cookie Co. There it is.
All right.
And 10%, if you want to get your 10% off the order, you can put in coupon code ADDICTED10 on checkout. All right. Of course, if you want to get the Jumbo Palumbo cookies, you go to MrPottsProtein.net and you can get those Jumbo Palumbo cookies. And the Jumbo Lights will be out soon as well. Okay. That's my plug. There it is.
All right, so let's go to the questions. Again, the first two questions are from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. First question. Now, this was, I'm not sure exactly which interview he's referencing here, but he says after interviewing Lee Haney, so again, I'm not sure which year he's talking about. I'm not sure when's the last time you interviewed Lee Haney, but he wants to know your thoughts on his general approach, I guess, to training, bodybuilding, and is it best for an aging bodybuilder?
Maybe he was referring to Vince Taylor. Because I just interviewed Vince Taylor.
He literally
Vince Taylor was
Lee
talking.
Haney, yeah. But
Lee Haney's approach was always stimulate, don't annihilate. That was his,
right.
That was his thing. And what it meant was go into the gym, train hard when you're there, but don't overdo it. You don't have to leave the gym exhausted. You have to just stimulate that muscle, get out, eat, and rest and recuperate. So in essence, it very similar philosophy to Dorian Yates. Dorian Yates was low volume too. He was high intensity, super heavy weight, but don't stay in the gym a long time. Haney was a little bit more balanced. I think Haney was the old 80s, 2 body parts a week, but he didn't do a ton of sets either. So I definitely believe in that in terms of for young guys and old guys. Now, as I get older, I find that I don't need to do as much to stimulate my muscles. So I do very little sets. I try to do more intensity. I'm not lifting the weights I was lifting back then, but like at 11 o'clock at night when I do my workouts, when my kids go to sleep, I turn on the TV, whatever I happen to be watching, and I'll do a lot of cable work, dumbbell work in my house. And what I do is I probably do about 8 sets per body part, but I'm not using super heavy weights, but I do full range motion, I do controlled movements, and I do as heavy a weight as I can where I feel like I'm not overexerting myself, or I'm not pushing into that zone where I could tear something or start doing stupid stuff. And I find that works great for me. I can maintain, I'm actually building muscle. Because remember, I had 2 shoulder replacements over the last 2 years, so I'm finally getting back muscle. If I flexed without a shirt on, people would probably be very impressed. With a t-shirt, I look smaller because obviously I don't weigh that much, but I'm super crazy ripped. I mean, like striated everywhere. And that's how I always walk around. But I got a lot of the muscle back that I lost, and now my shoulders are filled out, my arms are filled out, and my chest is filled out, and I got abs. So, because I've been training. I wasn't able to train. So, as we get older, we don't need as much to stimulate that muscle and keep it working, but we still have to stimulate it. So, figure out how to do that. I think it's more important to take more rest days. However, because I train for I'm not really training for probably more than 30 minutes, I find that I can get away with doing 5 workouts a week because I'm not really doing that much in terms of, now if I was training super hardcore, like I was in the gym an hour, going all out, because I probably would only train 4 days a week at my age, over 50. I think as you get older, you can train less. And I know a lot of guys in their 60s and 70s who tell me they train 3 days a week, and that's enough for them because they really need more time to recover.
Second question, again, from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. If I'm going to have a couple of drinks with my wife at dinner, is red wine the best option? So I guess that's one of the more commonly get questions we asked about red wine and bodybuilding, and if this is compatible.
Look, I'll admit, I've talked about it before, but I don't know if I ever really said it out loud, but I drink some red wine every night. I get back from the office about 5:30, 6 o'clock, shell-shocked, especially if we're doing recording all day. On Wednesdays, like today, we record and I feed my snakes because I get a delivery of mice and rats. By the time I get home, I feel like someone, I've been through a war, okay? I drink a glass of red wine every night. And it relaxes me a little bit, and I'm not drinking it to get drunk. I'm drinking it I get a relaxation effect from it. I like the research on the resveratrol in there in terms of the life extending. My father drank a bottle of red wine every day until he was almost dead, until he died, so 88 years old. And he lived a long life. He didn't have anything really wrong with him aside from, he got a little dementia as he got older. So I think it's good for you in moderation. If that's, from a health standpoint, that's probably a better way to be than drinking a shot of vodka or 2 shots of vodka every night. I think that harder liquor is a little harder and more harsh on your liver and can have more health ramifications. It seems like in the literature, at least, a glass of red wine seems to be pretty safe and might even offer some good health benefits.
Let's go to our Instagram questions. Again, if you're not following us, our handle is official_RxMuscle. Let's go to Coleman Lucas. How do you know if you're becoming insulin resistant without blood work?
Well, insulin resistant is a term that, is ambiguous in a sense because, the way you can tell if you're not responding to insulin or you don't have enough insulin is you would test your blood sugars. If you're running high morning blood sugars when you first wake up, they're called fasting blood sugars. You can buy a cheap glucose monitor at Walmart for $9. Test your blood sugar in the morning. If you're over 90, routinely you're running high blood sugars, that could mean one of two things. Either you're insulin resistant, which means that you're not producing enough insulin receptors to respond to your insulin, or you're just not producing enough insulin. That could be, a lot of people don't realize that your pancreas can get worn out. It can stop producing enough insulin to supply your body with what it needs. And a lot of times people will take glucophage, metformin, which is a drug that resensitizes or creates more insulin receptors. Really what it does is it suppresses the liver from producing extra glucose. So it's basically lowering blood glucose levels, but it's not really fixing the problem that your body's not producing enough insulin. So, the more modern way of thinking about this problem is if you're not controlling your blood sugars and you're running high fasting sugars, is to take actually a long-acting insulin, because what that does is it takes the burden off of your own pancreas to produce all that insulin, and it gives your pancreas a rest and allows it to regenerate itself. So that's a better way to go about it, even though it seems more extreme to have to take insulin. But that's a better way, because what happens is, like I said, if you're genetically programmed to have blood sugar control issues, it runs in families. Everyone knows whose family, if your aunt or your mother or your grandfather is taking insulin or on medications for high blood sugar, chances are you might get that too, no matter how good you eat. Okay, it's a genetic thing. I have pretty good blood sugar control, but what happens is if I eat a very, very big meal, like if I eat like a whole pizza pie, or even a half a pizza pie for that matter, for some reason I don't digest lactose fats that well, like cheeses and stuff like that. I can run slightly high blood sugars. It takes my body a long time to bring my blood sugar down from that meal. Now, on a routine basis, if I'm eating my clean meals, I'm pretty good. I wake up in the morning like probably 98% of the time with normal under 90 blood sugars. So, I have good, but not great. And that's, I think, as we age, you lose the ability to produce as much insulin. So the question is, how do you solve that problem? That's a personal decision. If I was running very high blood sugars over 100 or high 90s on a regular basis, I would certainly go on a long-acting insulin, something like Lantus or Tresiba.
Let's go to L. Smith 397. The most essential over-the-counter vitamins and supplements a bodybuilder should be taking, regardless if they're on or off cycle.
Well, I've said this before. I don't want to be a broken record. I don't want to just plug my line of species nutrition products, but the most important 3 supplements that everyone should take, okay, on a regular basis, and these are not what I call luxury items, these are absolute must-have supplements, is a multivitamin, multimineral, with high dosages and effective dosage of these vitamins and minerals. The minerals, have to come from chelated minerals, okay? Those are the most absorbable. An essential fatty acid supplement that includes omega-3s and omega-6s, and the omega-6s should be from gamma-linoleic acid. And then, of course, a fiber, high-potency, psyllium-based fiber supplement that also includes an insoluble fiber as well as the psyllium, which is a soluble fiber. I created V-Mineralize, which is a super high-potency multivitamin, multimineral, all chelated minerals. I have Omega-Lize, which is my fish oil, which is omega-3s, and the omega-6 is coming from evening primrose oil, which is very high in gamma-linoleic acid, which is the omega-6 you need. And then, of course, Fiberlize, which uses the highest swell rate psyllium available, as well as an insoluble source of fiber in there as well. If you use those 3 supplements the rest of your life, okay, you'll be very, very healthy, way healthier than if you don't, okay? The only thing you really need to add on top of that would be a little extra vitamin D. V-Mineralize has 2,000 I use. Unless if you're not in the sun a lot, you probably need to take an additional 5,000 units, which is a small capsule you can get for $5 a month. I mean, that's cheap. You do those 4 things, you're great. Now, anything else you do above that, I call luxury items. Now, probably next on the list would be your whey protein isolates. The reason they're good is they're not really essential, because you could really eat all your protein in your food, but they make getting enough protein easier. Okay, so most people are not going to be able to eat 6 food meals of protein, every single day, but they can do 3 shakes and 3 meals. So it becomes a convenience. Once again, you want to use a pure whey isolate, so you're not having to deal with lactose issues. Another, what I would call luxury item, but maybe conditionally essential, would be something like like a carb drink. Like when you get out of the gym, you might not want to, make rice for yourself. You might want to get something into your body real quick. So like a product like my Carbolize, for instance, a high molecular weight carbohydrate mixed with your whey isolate might be a nice thing to do. And it's a convenience. It's something that makes it easier for you to get your nutrition into your body faster without having an upset stomach. But from a specifically, I must-have supplement, that's the multivitamin, multimineral, the essential fatty acid, and the fiber. That's going to keep your health going. It's going to keep all the chemical reactions in your body going, and it's going to prevent you from hoarding fat because you're taking in enough essential fatty acids. It's also going to help you build and repair muscle better because the synthesis of protein, the protein synthesis reaction, utilizes these vitamins and minerals as cofactors. Obviously, the protein is what turns on that protein machinery via mTOR. And of course, the carbohydrates you put in will help reglycogenate the muscles. So there it is. And then, of course, the essential fatty acids are made up of all the cell membranes of all these muscle cells that get broken down. They need these essential fats to repair the muscle cell membrane. So the fat burning and the muscle building processes are dependent on those three supplements.
Let's go to GymRat1480. Dave, I've had knee issues since last year after competing. Inflammation was so bad I couldn't even bend my legs after ice, heat, ibuprofen, etc. Now that I've rested, inflammation is gone, but definitely having IT band issues with right knee. Glutes are definitely a weak point since I stopped squatting. I've been doing more exercise for the glutes since my gym opened back up, and pain is starting to reside and getting more flexible. I never hear you guys say that you had IT band issues. Any suggestion?
Iliotibial band issues are, if you look at the side of your leg, it's the band that goes along the side of your upper quad and connects to your knee. It's very common in runners, because I was a runner for many years. It's funny, I never had iliotibial, or they call it IT band syndrome, personally, but I wore orthotics my entire career. Now, orthotics are custom-made inserts to go into your shoes. What they do is they basically have you step in a mold, or now they have these machines you step on, and it can determine your arch deficit. You're supposed to have an arch like this so that your foot sits like this on the ground, but most people have flat feet, or from bodybuilders lifting so much weight and weighing so much the arch is flattened out, and then what happens is it torques the knee. So instead of the knee sitting even, it kind of twists in a little bit. So then you start, when you're squatting and you're leg pressing and you're doing and walking around, you're twisting essentially that muscle that connects at your knee on the side there, that iliotibial band, and you can get tendonitis because it starts rubbing on the bone there. If that's chronically happening, meaning all the time, because of the way you're walking incorrectly and the way you're training incorrectly, it becomes just a chronic tendonitis that never goes away. You can rest it all you want, it's not going away. The way to correct it is to get these custom orthotics made at your either podiatrist or your chiropractor. You wear them in your shoes all the time, whether you train or whether you're just walking around, and it corrects your posture, basically, your balance. And it's not just the knees it affects the groin, it affects your ankles and feet, and it affects your spine. It aligns everything properly so that when you're training the muscles in their right range of motion and they're balanced properly, so you're not going to get these rubbing injuries or these tendonitis-y injuries. The first thing that I feel when my orthotics start breaking down, because they only last about a year and a half, 2 years, is I start getting knee pain. And it's not iliotibial band, it's under the kneecap. And that's just because my legs are not positioned properly anymore, because I have very flat feet. I start to turn in and I feel that torquing. I can also get back pain as well. If I squat without my orthotics on, it takes 2 weeks and I'm in pain, because I'm not using the right muscle groups and I'm straining stuff that I shouldn't be straining. So every person who works out really should be wearing custom orthotics. Now, not everyone's orthotics will be corrected to the same extent, say mine are, because I have no arch. So I have a very high orthotic correction. It's like a prescription for your glasses. Another person might have a pretty good arch, but it's not perfect, so their correction might be less, but they're still correcting their feet to perfection. That's why you can't just go out and buy a generic orthotic and put it in your shoe, because it's not made for your body. You have to have your body, molded to your foot and to your arch deficit, and that's why you need to go to your podiatrist or your chiropractor to have it done. My chiropractor actually has a machine. You stand on it, balances, it tells you, you put in all your information, and it will give you the prescription, and then they send it off to the lab, and then you pick it up a week later at your chiropractor. And I try to get those done every at least 2 years. I get a new pair. Obviously, it's important to change your shoes as well, but that will correct that problem. It might take a couple of weeks before your body gets used to them, but once they do, you'll never have that problem again.
Let's go to John Patty, current 85. Is creatine still effective if I only take it after workouts? I find it makes me feel sluggish after I take it, so I prefer to avoid it on rest days.
Yeah, I mean, creatine is, the old sales pitch when it first came out was you got to load 20 grams a day on it. And I mean, if it takes 2 days longer to get into your system doing 5 grams a day, does it really matter? No. Now, some people do take 10 grams. They find they get better benefits out of it. Creatine really shouldn't make you feel sluggish. I don't know, there's no science behind that whatsoever. I don't know, how people could equate that taking a dose of creatine is going to make you feel tired. But yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sure if you only used it post-workout on the days that you trained, you'd be fine. You might not keep your creatine stores at full capacity because remember, people always, they tell me this all the time, on rest days, should I not eat as much? Well, I said, do you think your body is not repairing muscle on the days you take off? It's repairing probably more muscle the days you take off. So I would recommend taking creatine every day. If it really makes you that tired, take it before you go to bed.
I know last week and week before that, you talked about sort of the safety precautions as people go back to their gyms reopening. Tim SDBT wants sort of a more holistic overview of that. He goes on to say, or ask rather, more rest days, less working sets, all-out destruction. Probably not this one, he says. How about diet-wise? Increase food intake slowly every week while increasing training intensity. I guess so your general overview for those who are going to look to go back to their gyms as they start to reopen.
I haven't changed anyone's food at all because I didn't want anyone losing muscle. So the food intake is the same. When you go back to the gym, obviously, if you haven't been, squatting 500 pounds for the last 8 weeks, and you've been doing body weight squats at your house, you're certainly not going to go into the gym and try to do 500 pounds again. That would be stupid. You'll tear something. Because even though you might be strong enough to do it, the muscles are not used to it. They're used to doing light weight because that's all you had. So you have to go back, and even though like I said, you might be strong, the first week you go back and maybe do up 225 the most, and get some working sets of that in. I guarantee you'll be sore the next day. That's good, okay? The following week, maybe you up it by another 25 pounds on each side of the bar, or 50 pounds total, and then work up to your max weight over the course of 3 or 4 weeks. The great thing is that you're going to grow just because you're lifting heavier weights right off the bat. You don't have to go back to 500 pounds. You'll grow it at 300 pounds squats because you've been doing body weight squats before that. And so just ease yourself back into the gym in terms of how much you're lifting. Your diet should be consistent. You should be still eating a lot of protein in your normal diet. If you decided to cut back your gear cycles, while you were out of the gym, you can start adding those back in at normal strength now because they're going to take 2 weeks to get into your system at full force anyway. Steroids don't just shotgun into your body like, say drinking an energy drink would. So add those back in. Make sure your diet is right on track if you did kind of slip up a little bit, and ease yourself back into the gym over the next 2 weeks and build up to your maximum weights.
Let's go to Surge Body Dev. Dave, it's funny because we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago regarding a bodybuilding Hall of Fame, referring to bodybuilders as Hall of Famers. Wouldn't it be cool if there was an actual bodybuilding Hall of Fame that's like a museum or a, dare I say, Madame Tussauds with life-size figures of Hall of Famers? The way people that never got to see, this is a good point actually, the way that people never got to see Ronnie at his prime could see for themselves just how huge he was. That's a perspective I don't know if we've actually shared before.
Yeah, I have. Chris and I have fantasized about the Bodybuilding Hall of Fame. There was a Masonic temple that was for sale here in Cape Coral on one of the main highways here. And it was a really cool looking building on the outside. I said, man, if someone out there, one of our viewers was just like, had a lot of money and they said, hey, you know what? I love the fact that Dave had a great idea. I'm going to buy this place or any place. We're going to build a Hall of Fame. I would be more than likely to oversee the whole project here in Cape Coral and set up and make it my mission to go out there and procure, artifacts from the top Mr. Olympias and the top bodybuilders of all time and create a museum, because I think it would be great to have, even if these people were not, quote, in the Hall of Fame, they would be in a display, because you can have the best, greatest bodybuilders in one part of the section and then just notorious. Like, you got to have Rich Piana in there, right? I mean, he was like an icon in our industry, even though he wasn't a great competitive bodybuilder. I think you have to have like a certain portion of that where just people who were well-known celebrities.
A wing for that, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, then you want to have your Ronnie Coleman's and Dorian Yates and Lee Haney's and Phil Heath's and Jay Cutler's, and you want to have artifacts from them, whether it be posing trunks or something that they valued. I'd like to also get old lifting equipment from like York Barbell and some of the original pieces of equipment that people had made, and used back in the early 1900s even, because it would be a historical type of museum as well to show the history of bodybuilding. And I think it would be great. And my suggestion at the time when Chris and I were fantasizing about this thing would be to have John Hansen move here, and he would be the curator of it. So whoever donates all their money to put to this thing up, they got to have a little stipend so that we can pay John Hansen a weekly salary, because he could be like the guy when you come in, he gives the tours and everything like that, and gives the whole history of bodybuilding, and we could have a little and I think even, I forget, one of the fans had suggested having like a replica of the Firehouse, which is the restaurant in Venice that's so popular. It was an old firehouse they turned into a restaurant. All the bodybuilders used to eat there. Have like a firehouse right there as well, so that you can get food there, and then you have to have a gift shop, right, with like replicas of cool bodybuilding stuff. But I think it would be a great idea. I don't know how successful of a business it would be in terms of would it make a lot of money or not, but it certainly would be a nice place for bodybuilders to come visit. And every time you would induct people into the Hall of Fame every year, you get like 1 or 2 people, kind of like what they do with Cooperstown with the Baseball
Right.
Hall of Fame. You have, all right, we're inducting, I don't know, Phil Heath this year. He comes down, he gives a speech, everyone shows up, the press and everything, take their pictures and videos and broadcast that on their channels, and, just make a whole weekend of it type of thing.
Which is why, and I'll throw this out there, Dave, wouldn't it make sense perhaps to have the Bodybuilding Hall of Fame somewhere in Vegas, maybe not necessarily obviously on the Strip with the expenses, but maybe, somewhere in the suburbs of Vegas, so that the Olympia weekend would also serve, you would have a separate event that you would have your Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
You know why? Because it's too much going on the Olympia weekend, and you got to make it like a pilgrimage. Why do you think they have it in Cooperstown, the Baseball Hall of Fame, or in Ohio, Canton, Ohio? Well, Canton, Ohio is where I guess baseball was where football was invented. But I think you have to have it in a remote area so that people have to make like the pilgrimage there almost. It's like something like. You don't want it to be too accessible to everyone. I think that's something that might make it more exclusive. But I don't know. Who knows? I could be. If you hold it in Vegas, it's going to be a lot more expensive. That's the only thing I'm thinking. But
I'm only thinking from the perspective of you get the bodybuilding world in one location at least once a year.
Right.
So, that way now you can have that as a separate event that weekend where you're going to have everyone in town anyway.
Yeah, yes. I think it's too much. I think when you jam too much into one weekend, it kind of dilutes it down a little bit. I think that when they have that Baseball Hall of Fame ceremonies, where they induct these guys, it's not during the baseball season, right? It's usually off season. And everyone kind of makes the pilgrimage up to Cooperstown, New York there, and it makes that city like famous, almost, that little town, and they have all the press there, and they make the speeches as they get inducted. I just think it's I don't know, there's something like organic about it,
Take a couple of more questions before
we're talking like it's really happening, Sid. So, but we throw it out into the universe. You never know what might come back.
It is a good idea, though, and I think that it is something that, if we get the conversation started amongst bodybuilding fans, historians, purists, you never know. Once you put something out into the universe, things happen. One tall cup of Joe. Interesting one here. Does hot yoga assist with shedding water weight specifically for a bodybuilder?
Well, we lost Sid. we lost you there, Sid. Can you repeat the question, please? I think we still lost him. That means I gotta eat a cookie on the air again. All right, let's see which one we can break open.
Wait.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, we didn't hear you. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, no. So I'll go back to the question. The question was about hot yoga. Does hot yoga assist with shedding water weight specifically for a bodybuilder who has issues getting dry?
You wouldn't want to be doing hot yoga like, the day before a competition. First of all, it's too intense. It's excessive sweating. You don't do crazy, kooky things. I tell you this the week of a show, okay? A diuretic and fluid restriction before the show, the day before, is more than enough to get anyone dry, okay? There's not a person in the history of bodybuilding that can't get dry if they follow the right, principles and have a plan of action. When you start doing crazy stuff trying to get rid of water, you theoretically, or in reality, probably overdo it. And then what happens is you go flat, and then you try to drink to compensate for that, and then you blow up, and then you just don't look good. So got to have a smart plan of attack. I would not be doing anything that causes excessive fluid dehydration on a regular basis, or sweating, because when you sweat, you lose sodium, okay, a lot of sodium, and that could flatten the muscles out as well. So don't do crazy stuff the week of the show.
Final question from before dates. I don't know if this has been something that Milos has been discussing or Dorian has been discussing, but the question is, can you get Milos to debate Dorian on overtraining?
I guess we could. Dorian obviously has his own ideas about training, which I kind of tend to agree with. I don't think Milos is into overtraining. I think Milos does a lot of volume when he's in the gym, but he does it very fast. So he's not really doing it over a long period of time. I think the length of time you're in the gym can lead more to overtraining than actually the number of sets. So if Milos is doing like 5 giant sets, it seems like a lot of sets total, but you're doing them back to back to back. So it's really like one long set. So I think Milos was a guy who believes in rest, but I wouldn't mind getting them on to talk training, because they both do love to talk about that. And that's something that they're both really good at. So I could definitely see that as a potential future episode. Sure.
Well, we'll reach out to both of them. Again, the feedback that we got last week with the episode that had Kevin Levrone and Vince Taylor, that the fans, they want to see more legends. They want to see legends of the sport come on. And maybe if not, you're going to have, real like hardcore debate. You have discussions. You have good, thoughtful exchanges of thoughts, philosophies. So, you know what? We'll try to continue that trend. We'll reach out to both Dorian and Milos, see if they're willing to come on, talk training, talk overtraining, whatever it is that we have to discuss. That's going to do it for this episode of Ask Dave. Again, special thanks to Tyler Shaw, our producer. Thanks, Dave Palumbo. I'm Sadiq Faruqi. We'll see you next time.